Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be previewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 12 matchup versus the Indianapolis Colts. If you guys are new here, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button if you do enjoy these types of videos, and leave your thoughts and your score predictions for this Buccaneers Week 12 matchup versus the Colts down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and your score predictions as well. Before we get into some of my own personal thoughts going into this Buccaneers versus Colts matchup, I do have some more unfortunate news, and that is that both Antonio Brown, the wide receiver, and Ali Marpet, the offensive lineman, have both been ruled out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week number 12. In the case of Ali Marpet, he is still dealing with an oblique injury. Aaron Stinnie is expected to take his place as the starting left guard. Just real quick on that, I trust Aaron Stinnie. I think he's done a very, very good job along the offensive line when injuries have come up before. For those of you who do remember, playoff Stinnie last year whenever Alex Kappa went out with injury. This year, it's regular season Stinnie now that Ali Marpet is dealing with an oblique injury. He should more likelier than not be good to go next week versus the Atlanta Falcons, as it seemed like, at least according to Bruce Arians, like I talked about in a separate video, he was almost ready to play in the game this week. So I expect Ali Marpet to only possibly be out for one game. In the case of Antonio Brown, this is going to be, I believe, his 5th consecutive game that he has missed in a row. If not 5, it is at least his 4th game missed in a row, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. I do not blame people if they're beginning to feel pretty darn frustrated with Antonio Brown missing as much time as he has. For those of you who do not remember, Antonio Brown had sustained, I believe, a sprained ankle injury versus the Philadelphia Eagles during their matchup, and he has been out ever since. So yeah, it sucks to see this. On the bright side, Scotty Miller is back. That is some good news that I will talk about in a little bit. And the Buccaneers are still very, very deep at that wide receiver room. So overall, I think they will be fine, but you obviously want guys like Antonio Brown and Ali Marpet out there on the football field. They will be sorely, sorely missed for this Buccaneers offense against a good Colts team. Speaking of that good Colts team, let's go ahead and dive into some of my thoughts about this Buccaneers Week 12 matchup versus the Colts. And my first thought, guys, to be 100% honest with you, was this. This Colts team that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are about to play seem like they're a pretty good team, in my opinion. They went 0-3 at the start of the season, but since then, they have been 6-2 throughout their last 8 games, both of those losses being in overtime. So there is a, realistic chance that the Colts could have been 8-0 in their last 8 games. They have been white hot throughout their last few contests. I believe they have 5 wins in a row, something along those lines. However, it is important to note that 4 out of their 6 wins in their past 8 games came against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, the Miami Dolphins, and the Houston Texans. So they have played a few really beatable teams throughout that 8-game stretch. Regardless, 6 wins out of 8 games is impressive nonetheless, including those 2 losses in overtime. The Colts have had a good stretch of play after starting off 0-3 to begin this season. You look at what they provide on the offensive side of the football. Right now, as it stands, I think that you make a very legitimate argument that the Colts have the best rushing offense in the league. And then taking a look at some of their other metrics, they have a top half defense in the league as well, both in terms of rushing defense and passing defense. So this is basically a playoff team, in my opinion, with this Indianapolis Colts team. Be it they win the South, I don't know how that's going to go. The Titans are falling off a little bit without Derrick Henry. They may win the AFC South. They may just be a wild card team. I still feel like the Colts can make the playoffs. They've got a strong rushing attack. They've got an overall well-balanced defense. And their passing attack has been okay. We'll come back to that in a minute. But going back to their running attack, Jonathan Taylor is insane. Right now, I think that you have to say he's the best running back in the league with Derrick Henry out with injury. This dude can do it all. He can run well. He can pass catch well. He does everything you want a modern-day running back to do. Bruce Arians even came out recently and said that he loved him throughout the draft process, and they coveted him, essentially, per Pewter Report. They had coveted, Jonathan Taylor. Maybe he would have been a Buck if the circumstances fell into place. Now, I love Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Giovani Bernard, but Jonathan Taylor's a beast, right? I think that's just a safe thing to say. The dude's an absolute beast, and I think you can make a legitimate argument that he's one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league right now. I talked about their passing attack. Carson Wentz is kind of guiding the ship here. I believe he has 18 passing touchdowns this year, 3 interceptions. So, hey, Carson Wentz isn't having a bad year, all things considered. His weapons have been a little meh. I'll talk about that in a second. But overall, again, this Colts team is really, really well-rounded, both on offense and on defense, in my opinion. I think they are a playoff team that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are facing here in week number 12. Despite all of what I just said, however, I know what people are going to be typing in the comments is, oh, James, what are you doing, man? You're being so optimistic for the Colts. Boo, this is a Bucs channel. I understand. Despite everything that I just said, I think this is actually a pretty decent matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You look at the Colts. They have one of the top rushing offenses in the league. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the best right now in terms of yards and everything along those lines. They have the best rushing defense in the league. This is going to be two juggernauts going head-to-head, smashing into each other. Arguably the best rushing offense in the league going up against arguably the best rushing defense in the league. Boom. That is a good matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in my opinion. Now, the Buccaneers do, have the best passing offense in the NFL. And while I did say that the Colts have a very well-rounded defense overall, if things do potentially get into a passing shootout, I don't know if you can trust Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts passing weapons to compete with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bring to the table. I think the Buccaneers still outclass the Colts in terms of offensive weaponry. Yes, the Colts have Jonathan Taylor, but their wide receiver core and their tight end room is a little bit lacking. It's still good, but it's not as good as the Bucs. So, this could go either a way where the Colts are able to control the game with the ground game like they have done on their, again, really white-hot streak that they've been having, or this could go into a passing kind of showdown between the Buccaneers and the Colts, and that's where it would get really interesting, and that's where I think you would have to give the advantage to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're going to have to see how this game kind of shakes out in regards to that. I think it could, turn into a passing shootout between both these teams, and I'll kind of reflect that in my score prediction here in a moment. But the next thing that I thought about here was the Bucs have not played well on the road at all this season. They've had some really frustrating losses to the New Orleans Saints and the Washington football team. Both those games, I personally feel they should have won. I think a lot of people feel that way as well. Will this streak of bad play on the road continue? I don't know. I think it does have to end eventually at some point. The biggest problem has been the fundamentals, turning the ball over on the offensive side and getting penalties that extend drives for opposing offenses and kill the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in terms of their own offense. So they've got to stop the back-breaking penalties. They've got to stop the back-breaking turnovers, and I really do believe you will start to see them improve dramatically in terms of their road play. So will they be able to make that switch, or will this continuity of bad road play continue? Let's pay attention to that. I talked about this at the beginning of the video. Antonio Brown, Ali Marpet, they are out. That sucks. But as I said, I trust Aaron Stinney at the left guard position. I think he does do a very, very good job when he does check into the game, and I expect that to continue here. And you've also got to remember, Scotty Miller's back. Vita Vea is expected to play in this game. Rob Gronkowski came back last week. He looked great. Sean Murphy-Bunting came back last week. He looked great. So reinforcements are coming. This team is getting healthier, guys. It's an important thing to note. Scotty Miller, he is going to be, I feel, a huge piece for this Buccaneers offense going into this game, helping take up some of that role that Antonio Brown gives you on a game-to-game basis. Vita Vea is going to be huge, going up against Jonathan Taylor and this really lethal Indianapolis Colts rushing attack. Sean Murphy-Bunting, it's always nice to have some cornerbacks out there. SMB looked great last week, and Rob Gronkowski is going to do Rob Gronkowski things as well. So, yes, while Antonio Brown is out, while Ali Marpet is out, guys, reinforcements are on the way, and the guys who have already been coming back, like Gronkowski, like SMB, they've looked good in their returns, so there is some definite silver linings there that I think may even outweigh some of the more unfortunate injury news surrounding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into this game. Finally, guys, the last thing that I'm thinking about is, man, this is just two playoff teams going up against each other. It's always good football. I think the Colts are a good team. I think the Bucs are obviously a great team, and this is going to be a good game, I think. At the end of the day, it'll just be fun. You know, I like what the Colts do as a team. I do. And it's just going to be two really heavy hitters going head-to-head, the white-hot Colts versus the defending Super Bowl champions. Let's just see the fireworks, man. I think it's going to be some really, really fun stuff. So, guys, at the end of the day, you know, I talked a lot of good things about the Colts. I also talked about how the Buccaneers, I feel, can potentially match up very well against the Colts. And I'm going to actually give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the win here, 35-31. I think it will be a close game between two playoff teams. You know, the Bucs, I imagine, are still going to be a Super Bowl contender. I don't know if you could put the Colts in the Super Bowl contention category, but, you know, maybe they're like a dark horse team, right? So I think this is definitely, at the very least, two really good playoff teams going up against each other, and we'll see, you know, which better team wins. But it should be a really good game. I just give the edge out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here because I feel that if things do turn into a passing shootout like I might expect them to turn out here against the Colts, I think the Buccaneers would be able to win a shootout in that scenario. But what do you think, guys? Give me your thoughts about this game down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.